Did you know there's a radio signal in the United States that conspiracy hunters swear can predict death? I know how that sounds. Ridiculous. Impossible. Another late-night internet myth for people who can't sleep. But here's the part no one talks about. The signal is real. And it's been broadcasting for decades. A cold, metallic sequence of tones, repeating every night. Same rhythm. Same timing. Same eerie, machine-like cadence. Until it changes. That's the moment everything goes wrong. The frequency is known online as the death beacon. Government won't confirm it. Air Force denies it. FCC says it doesn't exist. But thousands of shortwave listeners across the country swear they've heard it. And every single one repeats the same chilling pattern. The signal shifts pitch, hours before someone dies, before plane crashes, before earthquakes, before sudden unexplained disappearances, even before high-profile assassinations. It never announces what's coming. It never gives a location. It just changes. Like it senses something. Like it's warning someone or someone is using it as a warning. But that's not the creepiest part. Some nights, instead of tones, the frequency broadcasts a single audio file. A human scream. Old. Distorted. Crackling like it was recorded on a tape from the 1950s. And hours later, somewhere in the world, someone actually dies. Now look, Americans don't like to believe anything without proof. We're skeptical. Practical. Raised on debunking videos, and that's just a coincidence logic. But coincidences don't stack for 50 years. Not like this. One of the earliest recorded pitch shifts happened in 1977. A ham radio operator in Ohio logged the frequency while tinkering with his equipment late at night. He wrote in his journal, "The tone slowed, like it got heavier. Something feels wrong tonight." The next morning, the news broke. Southern Airways Flight 242 had crashed in Georgia. 72 people gone. That journal entry was time-stamped 8 hours before the impact. In 1993, the pitch dropped again. Listeners described it like the signal was suffocating. Lower, lower, until it felt like the air itself was shaking. That same night, the Waco siege erupted in flames. In 2001, the tone didn't drop. It spiked. High, shrill, violent. People online still say it felt like the signal was panicking. Hours later, America changed forever. And the scream? Well, that started even earlier. The first confirmed scream broadcast was documented in 1962 by a retired Navy crypto technician in California. He described it as a man's voice, but not fully human, like fear stretched into sound. Every time the scream appears, someone dies within 24 hours. A soldier, a politician, a random civilian, sometimes a celebrity, always someone different, always unconnected, always unexplained. As if the signal doesn't predict death, it marks it. Now, let's talk psychology for a second. Humans crave patterns. Our brains are wired for it. We look for signs in everything. Traffic noises, phone vibrations, a gut feeling before an accident. It's survival instinct. It's ancient, older than our country, older than language. But this signal, this one isn't a feeling. It's measurable, trackable, recorded by thousands of Americans living in different states who don't know each other, who didn't plan this, who aren't pushing an agenda. They're just listening, and they all report the same thing. The death beacon never changes without a reason. Some listeners, the hardcore ones, keep notebooks filled with dates and pitch logs. Plane crash here, earthquake there. A missing hiker in Colorado. A politician collapsing on live TV. A tornado that appeared without warning. Every time, the signal shifted beforehand. And here's where things get twisted. The frequency isn't listed anywhere. No licensing records. No country of origin. Nothing. It's broadcasting from nowhere. yet everywhere. Radio triangulation experts have tried to track it down. They always end up with the same result. The signal moves. Sometimes it pings from Nevada, sometimes Texas, sometimes the Appalachian Mountains. Once, it even appeared to be transmitting from the middle of the Pacific. That's impossible. Unless it's airborne. Unless someone out there, someone with government-level tech is cycling transmitters around the world, watching things unfold ahead of time, signaling events before they break the surface. But why? And who are they warning? Now, let me hit you with the part that sticks with people. The part Americans tell themselves isn't real until they hear the audio themselves. The scream. The scream changes. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes it echoes like the person is in a metal hallway. And although every version is old, outdated, decayed, it never sounds like the same person. Sometimes male, sometimes female, sometimes impossibly young. But every recording has something identical. Sheer terror, raw and unfiltered. Like the scream of someone who knows what's coming but can't stop it. Experts tried to analyze the waveform. You know what they found? It's not a single scream. It's layers. 7 voices blended into one file. 7 different people. Different ages. Different timbres. All screaming at the exact same pitch. Perfect harmony. Perfect fear. No sound engineer on Earth could replicate it naturally. Someone or something created it deliberately, as a warning, a signature, a mark. And Americans started noticing something else. The scream only plays when the death is personal. When the victim is someone known, recognized, posted online, talked about, seen. When the death will ripple. That's when the death beacon speaks. And once you hear that scream, once it drills through your earphones, you never forget it, because it feels like it's not meant for the world. It feels like it's meant for you. So here's where the story stops being background noise and starts becoming personal. Because the first American who tried to expose the death beacon was a guy named Daniel Mercer, a quiet, everyday dude from Kansas. Not a whistleblower, not a conspiracy theorist. Just a father of 2 who liked tinkering with old radios in his garage after work. He discovered the signal by accident. One night, it bled through the static on his shortwave set. Sharp, metallic, impossible to ignore. Daniel said it felt like the signal punched through the air, like it wasn't meant to be heard, but forced its way into his frequency. He listened for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And then the pitch dropped. Just a little. Barely noticeable. The next morning, a school bus skidded off an icy road just outside Wichita. 3 children didn't survive. Daniel never slept right again. He started tracking the signal nightly, like it was a storm on the horizon, and he was the only one with a radar. He kept a binder full of hand-drawn charts, pitch levels, dates, times, red ink, black ink, each page darker than the last. His wife begged him to stop. He told her, "If I keep listening, maybe I'll know before something happens." That sentence? It hits every American fear at once. We don't fear death itself. We fear not being prepared, not protecting our family, not having 1 second of warning before everything collapses. And the death beacon, whatever it is, whispers that warning too late. Always too late. Daniel made one final entry. December 14th, 2003. He wrote, "The scream broadcast tonight. The first time I've heard it. It's a woman or a child. I can't tell. Something's wrong. Something feels immediate." He circled the date. Twice. The next morning, Daniel died of sudden cardiac arrest. On his garage floor, 42 years old, healthy, no warning signs. The binder was left open on his desk, the scream waveform still visible on the monitor. And here's the part that investigators never released publicly. His radio was still on. Still tuned to the same frequency. Still broadcasting the same signal. A clean, steady tone. Calm, flat. Almost satisfied. That's when people online stopped calling it a prediction tool and started calling it something else, a tracker. Like the signal isn't reading the future. It's marking the present. Listening for something. Counting. Cataloging. And maybe Daniel didn't discover it. Maybe it discovered him. Now let's zoom out for a second. America has thousands of number stations. Some real, some abandoned, some never identified, but none behave like this one. None correlate to death events. None broadcast a scream. None adjust pitch like they're reacting emotionally. And the more listeners document it, the more one pattern stands out. The signal grows louder around grief. Mass tragedies? Louder. Sudden deaths? Clearer tone. Personal loss? Sharper frequency. Like it's feeding off emotional impact. Like the world hurts and the signal responds. Some tech analysts believe the frequency is tied to a satellite network. A military one. Possibly experimental. No, possibly abandoned. But if that were true, why does no nation take ownership? Why does no agency claim it? Why is no log, no record, no blueprint ever found? Unless it was never meant to be found, never meant to be heard by the public, never meant to interfere with the thin, fragile illusion that we are in control of our own lives. Because imagine a truth like this. Imagine a technology that tracks, predicts, or even influences the final moments before a human death. Imagine a signal that knows the clock is running out before you do. That's not a conspiracy. That's a nightmare disguised as science. And here's where things get darker. Or, in 2016, a small group of American radio hobbyists tried to jam the death beacon. They succeeded. For 6 minutes, the signal vanished. Complete silence. No tone. No hum. Nothing. Then out of nowhere, a new transmission broke through the static. One word. Whispered. Electronic. But undeniably human. Stop. The jammer shut down immediately. They never tried again. And every single one of them, in separate interviews, said the same thing. It didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a warning. But the public never learned about the moment. The death beacon spoke back. Because you can't warn people about something. You can't explain. You can't put a name on a signal that hides from every detector and speaks in a language made of fear. You can only listen and hope it doesn't call your name next. Now let's end this with the question that keeps even skeptics awake at night. What if it's not predicting death, but announcing it? What if the scream isn't a warning, but a recording, a last breath captured at the exact moment someone leaves the world and replayed as a broadcast to someone else, who will soon follow? Because the scream always comes in pairs, two layered voices, two futures cut short, two lives connected by a sound that shouldn't exist. And if you ask Americans who've heard the death beacon firsthand, they all describe the same final feeling. The sense that the radio isn't a machine. It's a witness. Something ancient. Something patient. Something listening beyond us. And every time the pitch shifts, every time the scream shatters the static, it's not predicting your death. It's acknowledging it. Before the world knows. Before you know. Before your story ends. And maybe, just maybe, the signal isn't trying to warn us. It's trying to remind us that death isn't coming from the outside. It's coming from the silence between the tones.